Hi everyone, I'm nearly caught up with my backlog of booktube videos to do. Today I'm doing a quick review, I hope, on American Gods by Neil Gaiman. I finished this over the holiday and said I wanted to do a proper review when I got back. There's a lot I kind of want to say about this book, but I probably will enter spoiler zone territory, and I kind of went into this book only knowing what I'd seen in the TV series, so if you don't want to be spoiled, probably avoid this video maybe until you have read some of the book or have seen the show at least. But there you are. That's your warning. So American Gods is it's now like one of the big cult sci-fi fantasy books that people are told they ought to read, and it's like, when you mention Neil Gaiman, it's like, well, American Gods, you must read American Gods. It's really, really good. I never got around to reading American Gods. I mean, for starters, the size of the book is pretty scary. This thing is big. It's over 600 pages, and that's just American Gods. I mean, mine's got the novella at the end of it, Monica the Glen, interview with Neil Gaiman in this. It's got the reader's questions if you're doing a book club in here. There's all sorts in here as well. So there's like another 100 pages in this one. But that's quite a scary thing to pick up off the shelf when you're not really sure what it's about or if you're going to enjoy it. I read a brilliant review on Goodreads, and if I can remember who wrote it even, I'll leave the link below in the description box. But they said that American Gods is described as a book about war between old gods and new gods, about love and death, about loss and loyalty. And they say, it's about a con trick, and they're very, very well. And they're saying all these catch lines that are used to describe American Gods. And it's like, really, it's all of them and so much more. And I would totally agree with that. American Gods, at face value, is a story about the old gods that came to America, building up to a war with the new gods of America, like technology and media and, war and all this kind of stuff. And the old gods are the likes of Easter and Odin and all that lot. And obviously the old gods are fading out because less and less people believe in them now. And the new gods, everybody wants money, everybody drives the highways, everybody believes in the American dream, or at least in here they do. So I went in having seen the TV show, and I've done a comparison video, which I'll leave a link below for you, on the show and how far I got in the book that I thought covered it. Actually, I read a bit further, like another 100 pages, and found there was another chunk that had been in the TV show that was much, much later in the book. But the main plot of the story wasn't on the TV show. So, if you want an opinion on the TV show compared to the book, go and watch that video. This is about the book. And I have mixed feelings about this. I wouldn't say it was an enjoyable read, but it was an interesting ride. This is certainly a story where I felt it wasn't about the ending that was important. It was about how you got there. And it was about the journey of this story rather than the actual story, if that makes sense. And so for me, quite a while, I was slightly confused if I'd actually enjoyed what I'd read or not. There were bits in there that I thought were really, really good. There were certain elements in there that I thought, yeah, I really enjoyed that. I like all these different tales of the old gods and them arriving to America and how they behaved and interacted with the people that believed with them. And I like the concept of we have gods because we believe in them and therefore they've been created. So I like that concept. But as a whole, this isn't a story about war between gods. That's not what this is. This is more the journey of a man called Shadow Moon. And I have to say, in here, he's nowhere near as likeable as he should be. I don't like him. as a person, I think, which is terrible to say because actually he's quite a decent guy. You know, he's loyal right to the end to Mr. Wednesday or Odin, and he is put through some weird stuff. I mean, seriously weird stuff goes on in this, and the revelation of who Shadow actually is, well, yeah, I didn't kind of see that one coming. I should have seen that one coming, but I didn't see it coming. It was just bizarre. And the whole way that this story wraps up, this is big spoiler territory. Effectively, this war has been constructed so Odin can gain power. Because any battle that is dedicated in the name of Odin gives him power. It gives him belief, gives him strength, gives him enough to keep going for another few hundred years. So he's orchestrated this whole thing for his own selfish needs. Whoa, Odin is an ass. Totally and utterly. And the fact he ropes in his brother Loki to help him do this. So, I mean, I have no idea how this is going to pan out next year in the TV series, and it'll be great if they do it. But it's just, the whole thing has been rigged. The whole thing is a con. And I kind of felt cheated. I mean, yeah, it was really clever, and yes, it made sense in regards to what we know of Odin and Loki and how they are supposedly how they should behave. But it felt like a huge letdown that this whole big war had been orchestrated from the start by the guy who was supposedly going to lead it all. I know, I finished reading the book thinking, I hate Odin. I don't really like Shadow. I feel sorry for him. He's been well and truly used. And all the old gods, really, you walked into that one, you followed blindly. And I kind of felt, really, that's what it was about? That's what they were doing? So I can understand why people would get to the end of this and go, that was it? That was it? Because I really did feel like the journey was just so much better than the ending. Although it's a very satisfactory ending, don't get me wrong. I think it's a great little ending. Very, very clever, and I look forward to seeing that again on the screen between Ian McShane and Ricky White, I think his name is. Sorry if I've got that wrong. Because I think they'll play it brilliantly. They've played those characters very well. They've certainly brought a lot more heart to the characters than what I read in here. And I think I would have struggled if I'd not seen the TV show. Because this is going to be terrible to say, but I kind of think the TV show is better. And I'm going to whisper that because there's going to be people that will scream at me for that. But I felt so let down by the ending of this book. Having sort of enjoyed what was going on in there, the TV show, I'm really hoping, is not going to let me down. And I'm wondering if I rewatch that series now, with what I know is going on in here, am I going to see all these pointers going on? What is disappointing in here, for an author that's very much on the side of women and justice and fairness and equal rights and that, there seems to be very little of that in this book. Laura Moon is effectively a tool to keep the plot going. She's a means of keeping Shadow alive. And that seems to be her role. And it's terrible. Poor Easter barely gets anything in it. Again, she's there to fulfill a plot point, almost. She gets no character development, and that's appalling. And I can't even think of any other female. The three sisters, whose name's completely forgotten. The three Russian sisters who represent the mother, the crone, and the maiden, whose name completely forgets who they are at the moment. But they have like a few recurring pieces, but it's very scattered, and there's not much to them, which is a real shame because they are interesting characters, all of them. And just to have them kind of pushed to one side is a shame. The guys in here are very much American guys, I'm going to say, because that's how they come across. They're very of their type. So I don't know how much of that is deliberate because of the nature of this book, or just that's the way it played out. I don't know. But I was kind of disappointed not to have seen more of Laura and Easter in the book, because they get so much more on screen. And, that's one of my key points in that discussion, that they do improve on certain character developments from the book. I would say you would like this if you are interested in mythology, generally, the concept of belief and what that means and what people would do for it. And also if you like books that are almost a road trip. I would say this is like a road trip book. It's very much about the journey, like I say, rather than where you end up. So I think that would sort of give you an idea if you're going to like it or not. If you can accept the ending, then yay for you, well done. I know. And I'm not going to say I hated this book, because there's a lot in this book to love. There's some great scenes in it, some great storytelling in it, and there are some great little character moments in it. It's just, I feel it's a bit rambling in places and not really going anywhere. And I know that's kind of the point of a road trip, that it's not going anywhere, it's just the trip. But it really did sort of lag in places. And when a book is over 600 pages, when you start feeling it lag at 300, and you're sitting there going, is it worth carrying on? Then I think my understanding of what I was reading didn't parallel with what Neil Gaiman had written. And I think that was the main problem. I wasn't getting what he wanted me to get. I mean, if there's a thing to get in here, I mean, possibly. Not all books have a message, And I think the issues I have with this may just be me, that actually I wanted it to go somewhere, that I wanted to have almost not an A to B plot, but I kind of wanted to know that I was going to end up somewhere that was a good solid point. And the fact I didn't end up in that good solid point, I sort of ended up in this wishy-washy place. And I wasn't sure if I liked that or not. Having said that, American Gods is certainly a book that makes you think. You think about people's beliefs, why people believe things, and this whole concept of actually, where have our means to worship, where has that gone? We say that, we hear that the church is losing people all the time, that there are less and less Christians out and about there. And, we ask, well, where are those people going? And American Gods gives us some answers to that. Our time is going towards sitting in front of the telly and watching the telly. Our time goes towards getting in the car and driving on the highways. And certainly in America, around here, most of us have spent some time stuck in a traffic jam on the motorway, and it's just mind-numbing. So what our attention is going towards has moved away from the traditional forms of belief, where we believe in a god or a deity or some figurehead, and it's moved towards things. And I think if this was written now, it would certainly be, will we dedicate our time now to the internet, to social media, to our smartphones, to gadgets. That's what we dedicate our time to now. So really, out of all these gods, old techie boy is going to be doing really well now, because that's where things lie. Obviously, the world of money. So with the gods of Mr. World and consumerism and business, they're doing pretty well now. But the likes of Odin, Loki, various Jesuses out there. Yeah, I did like that scene in the TV show, and I kind of wish that was more in here, but it's kind of alluded to, but that's about it. you know, people are moving away from those things that we have trouble seeing into concrete things, into this here, and all those gadgets that we must have, or we're told we must have. American Gods by Neil Gaiman. I think I enjoyed it. I might not have. I still don't know. I'm gonna have to sort of sit with this one and probably have some discussions with people about it, because it left me very mixed, I have to say. But I'm glad I've read it. It is one of those books that I think is certainly worthwhile sticking with and reading. I have to say, the only way I got through this was by reading it alongside several other books. I mean, it's taken me a month to get through it, because I had to keep stopping. It got so weird in places. I needed something that was a little bit less weird, even though it was a fantasy. I needed something that I could get my head around for a little bit. And I needed something that gave me a break from the deep thoughts that this book was giving me. So I read it alongside several other books of various genres and groupings. And that was the way I coped with getting through it. I don't think I could sit and get through this in one go. I just think it would completely blow my head, to be honest. It is one of those books that does stay with you, that does make you think, that it makes you evaluate your life. I know that's a big sentence to say, and I probably don't actually understand what I'm saying about it, but it makes you consider what you value, what's important in your life, you know, what you would lay down your life for. I think that's what this book makes you do. And it's a very interesting read, certainly, and I'm glad I've read it. I'm very glad I read it, and I will probably reread it some point in the future. Not this year, though. And yeah, I'm pleased I read it before seeing the second half of the TV series, because I will watch it now with certain knowledge, which I didn't have before, which may or may not be spoiled, but I'm not sure. I'll have to see on that one. And yeah, I'm very grateful that I have read it, because it is one of those books that I think should be read. I think people should read it, or at least access it in some way to get through it, because it's an important book. Although, you know, it's not a standard book that people would expect. Anyway, sorry, that's my rambling thoughts on American Gods by Neil Gaiman. The book, this is on the revised author's preferred edition, by the way. This is not the original release or anything. This is Neil Gaiman's like final version of it. I wonder what he would do with it now. So yeah, thank you very much for putting through my ramblings. Please leave me comments and links down below on your thoughts if you've read American Gods or if you've seen the show. You know, I'd be interested to see what other people thought about this book, what they felt about it as well. I think it's more of a thinking, feeling book rather than a story. I think it's certainly one of those. And that's probably the thing I'll take away from it, how it made me think and feel more than anything else. So thank you very much for watching that. As usual, all my social media links are down below. On Goodreads, I do my reviews almost the instant I finish reading the book. So the reviews on my Goodreads page are a lot more spontaneous and of the moment compared to some of the reviews on my BookTube channel. Just a heads up there. Thank you for watching and happy reading.